Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another episode. We got Coach Brown. Is that what they call you?
Yeah, Coach Brown.
Coach Brown in the building. Appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Man, appreciate you having me, man.
Yes, sir.
Excited to be here.
Appreciate you making the hike up here.
Yeah, a little bit of a hike, but it's a sunny day, so
Exactly.
no complaints.
So for those listening, I forgot to tell you we do this every episode. Okay. For those listening that may not know who you are, what you do, let the people know, man, who you are, where you've been, what you do.
Well, currently I'm the head coach at the University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy here in St. Louis. So I'm a basketball coach, obviously. I'm a basketball podcast. But no, man, I'm just a basketball junkie, basketball nerd. Been playing since I was a kid, like most people. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, so I'm a Texas boy at heart. Let's see. So after I left Houston in high school, I went to Air Force Academy Prep School in Colorado Springs. So I went there for a year. Then I left there. Came to St. Louis University. I did all 4 years at St. Louis University. And once I finished up with that, played overseas a little bit. Then I got into coaching. Bada bing, bada boom, here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Air Force Prep Academy.
Yeah.
So is that like you're thinking about going into the Air Force?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Now, when I say both, I mean I'm thinking about college and hooping, and then you're thinking about the military a little bit as well. I don't think most hoopers think about taking a route that takes them into the military, but the academy team was recruiting me. They were really good at the time. I had a guy named Joe Scott who was the head coach. He was actually the head coach this year again, so he had 2 tenures there. And so, just looking at everything in terms of the recruiting process, it made a lot of sense for me to go there. So I try to do things logically. And at that time, they were setting you up for life outside of basketball. We got a couple dollars in our pocket while we were there. Maybe that's pre-NAIA, But yeah, it just made a lot of sense for me.
Okay. And then, so 1 year there, hooping there.
Yep, hooping there, really freaking good team. Probably the best prep school team in the country at the time. We were 31-3. We were freaking amazing. And our academy team, so the academy, Air Force Academy plays in the Mountain West Conference at the time. They were a top 25 team in the country. So just our basketball program in general was just really, really on the rise during that time. So it was a good time to be there.
And then how did you go from there to winding up at SLU?
Well, you sit in all these briefings and you're listening to all these generals and stuff like that. And I realized, you know what? I don't want to be an Air Force pilot. I just want to hoop. And so I ended up leaving. And so during that summer, I was really fighting it, though. I was thinking about going back. I wasn't sure, but I ended up not going back. And I called my high school coach, and he made some calls for me. And I ended up going to I initially signed with San Jacinto College right outside of Houston, which has some really, really good players. And at the time, they were really, really good. So kind of a historic program down in the Texas area. Steve Francis came out of there, so that's probably the most notable person, I would say. So I signed there, and I remember I was on the way home. I was excited about signing, and then one of the coaches from St. Louis called me, Anthony Bean, he's an assistant at Lindenwood right now, actually.
Okay.
But he was an assistant at St. Louis at the time. He called me, and they wanted to fly me in, bring me on a visit and stuff. And I was like, man, I just signed, man. I'm taken. He's like, man, we're not worried about that junior college stuff, man. Come on. So, because I was a qualifier, so I didn't need to go there.
What does that mean?
So, academically, I was good. So I didn't need to go to junior college or anything like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Here, scoot the mic up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like towards the edge of the table.
I got you.
Perfect.
All right. So then I ended up going on a visit to St. Louis, and it was cool. I had a good visit. And I remember at the time, my goal, I was like, you know what? I want to go to junior college, and I want to end up at Cincinnati. And my reason was kind of vain. Cincinnati was a Jordan brand school at the time. I'm a little bit of a sneakerhead. So, but I remember being there and realizing that St. Louis and Cincinnati played in the same conference, which was Conference USA at the time.
Okay.
And I was like, well, why would I go to junior college to fight to be back in Conference USA when I have a team in Conference USA wanting to sign me right now? So again, logically, I'm like, this makes sense for me to be here. And that's how I ended up at St. Louis.
That's funny that you like toggle in between. So like your reason for going to, what was the prep school?
Air Force Academy.
Air Force Academy. And then your reason for going to SLU was like pretty logical.
Yeah.
But then you wanted like Cincinnati because it's a Jordan brand, you know?
Yeah, that was logic to me at the time.
For sure. So then 4 years at SLU, very successful 4 years at SLU. Talk about what you guys were able to accomplish and then what you feel like played a part in that. Like what made you guys so successful?
You know, our years at SLU were tough. I'm not gonna say it was like it was pretty or anything like that, but I mean, SLU is a blue collar place. It's a blue collar program. When I first got there, my freshman year, we weren't very good, and we ended up signing some local guys: Kevin Lish from Belleville, Tommy Liddell from East St. Louis. We had Dwayne Polk, who was a starting point guard at the V.
Sean, baby.
Yeah, so you know, we had some local guys who were really, really freaking good players. We had a big guy named Ian Vayukas, who had a long professional career. So we had these pieces coming in. We had Justin Johnson from Indiana. We have Rashawn Newborn, a kid out of Mississippi. So you're just throwing all these guys into the mix who were just blue collar guys, blue collar. And so when we just got after it, we competed. You know, we weren't a team who put up 100 points a game or anything like that, but we just lock you down defensively. So everything we did was rough. It was rugged, but that was just the personality of the team. From top to bottom. I'm not naming guys that I should be naming, and if they see this, they're probably gonna be messaging me and stuff like that. But anybody, you go look at that roster, all those guys were just tough dudes, just get it out the mud type guys, you know?
Yeah. Was when you went back to coach, was that the like national tournament top 10 ranking stuff?
Okay, yeah. So when I went back,
okay, let's save that. I want to like kind of work in chronological, but that's what I was thinking of when I said your 4 years at SLU were successful.
Gotcha.
Okay,
no,
so
they were successful. I met my wife now. They were successful.
Hey, that's facts. That's real. Yeah. That's real. And then Liddell, is that EJ Liddell's dad?
I think they're cousins. No.
Cousins?
Yeah, Tommy and EJ. I think they're cousins. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, some St. Louis folks for sure.
Yeah.
So get it out the mud, some dogs.
Yes.
Is that like, did you fit right into that type of culture, that type of play style?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say we had a group of guys who didn't need to be motivated to compete. And I think that's how I define myself. Like, you know, and as a coach, that's something I value in players. Like, I don't want to have to motivate a guy every single day. Now, obviously, that's part of the process. Not every player is like that, but like a coach yelling and screaming, it's not going to make me run harder than what I was already running, you know. And I'm not saying I'm not putting forth the max effort, but I'm defending at a high level. I wanna drive the ball to the basket hard, whatever it may be, right? I wanna get the play right. And so I think we had a group of guys like that. They would just come in every day. You're not going to get the best of me mentality. And that just made it competitive.
And you were coached by Soderbergh for 2 years?
Yep. Brad Soderbergh was my coach my first 3 years.
For 3 years. And then Majerus.
And then Rick Majerus was our head coach my senior year.
Okay. Legend. What would you say similarities or differences between those coaching styles?
I think they were very different. Very, very different. I like to look at it like this. Brad Soderbergh is a person who, when I think about me as a coach, he showed me how to align my faith with my coaching. And I think that's very, very important. Like I saw him, and not that he ever talked about this stuff, but like I know when we traveled, he would be going to church, stuff like that. You see him with his Bible in his hand, coming out of the office, just little things like that you would pick up on. Like he didn't curse or anything like that, which was kind of funny to me at the time, because I had coaches that did leading up to that, so it was kind of interesting having a coach that didn't, but he was still screaming and yelling and stuff like that. So it was pretty unique to me. But then with Coach Majerus, he was very detail-oriented, very exact. And as a senior and as an experienced player, I found a lot of value in that. He held everyone accountable. He wanted everything done at a certain standard, whether that was a manager, a player, even another assistant coach. He was respected by everyone around him. So it was just two completely contrasting styles, in my opinion. So I try to lean and take a little bit from both in what I do. But great experiences with both, no doubt.
Yeah. I like what you said about Soderbergh, kind of that leading by example with the faith type stuff. There's a book called The Intro to a Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales or Sales. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he has a quote in there. It's like, preach the gospel and when necessary, use words. And I think that's fire.
That is.
Because that like speaks to exactly that. You're leading by example. You're not overtly like preaching the word and stuff, but you're like planting those seeds for you, you know? It kind of plants a seed of, oh, he doesn't curse. Oh, I know he's at church right now.
Yeah.
And it kind of it grows with you. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So 3 years Soderbergh, 1 year Majerus, kind of contrasting styles, but it kind of developed your way of coaching. 4 years at SLU, and then take me through the process of how we get from that to your first overseas adventure.
Yeah, so I do my time at SLU, and by the time I'm graduating, it's like, you're trying to figure out.
My fault. You met your wife there.
Yeah.
Want to spend a little minute taking us through that?
Yeah, make me look like a good husband right now.
Yeah. Take us through it. How'd it go down? How'd the relationship develop?
Yeah.
Show some love.
I met her my freshman year. So I was it's kind of a funny story, actually. She'll probably give you a different version of it. But I was walking through campus. I had my phone out. I'm texting. I see her. I'm like, ooh, she's looking good. I'm like, who is this? I'm like, man, I'm about to holler at her. Like, I gotta holler at her. So I'm trying to play it smooth. I'm trying to act like I'm texting someone as I approach her. And then I really get a text message that I needed to respond to. And so I respond to the text and I'm typing and I look up and I'm past her and she's back behind me. So I'm like, missed my chance. And so I end up, I would say maybe a day or two later, I met her through a mutual friend. So I knew someone else on campus and she was friends with that person. And I met her that day. And we just hung out, talked, and she bought me Chinese food, man, and the rest is history, man. So
Chinese food.
Yeah, here in St. Louis, that's a big deal.
Chinaman, baby.
Yeah.
Quickest way to a man's heart.
Right. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
That's it, man. I'm a lucky guy. So I always say basketball brought me here and the girl kept me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That was definitely a question I wanted to ask, was because like growing up in Houston, moved to St. Louis for hoops, and now you have a family here, That's right.
Great family.
Is she from St. Louis?
Yeah, she's from St. Louis.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, so very successful career at SLU.
Yeah, exactly.
Hooped, got a degree in...
So I majored in marketing, minored in management. Then when I came back on the coaching staff, I got my master's in higher education administration.
Fire. Okay. Met the wifey, got a degree, hooped for 4 years. So now take me through how do we get from there to the first overseas gig?
Man. So like I said, once I graduated and stuff, I'm trying to figure out life. And at the time, Coach Majerus was trying to get me to come back and be a part of the coaching staff, actually. And so I spent majority of that summer working out, just staying in shape, but also working with the incoming players at SLU. So all the guys who were going to be freshmen, we had a really good freshman class coming in, and those guys were going to play right away. So Coach Majerus was like, hey, I need you to get these guys ready. And so we were just in the lab, just getting after it. And that was kind of like my first touch of like working with players in terms of player development. And so it was a little mix of that and just me working out with, my ex-teammates and stuff like that, going to do camps and stuff. I went up to Chicago to do something. Then I eventually don't accept the job to go on staff at St. Louis. I didn't think it was time for me to start coaching, and I wanted to keep playing. And so I go home, go back to Houston, and same thing, man. I'm just working out. I'm just working out, going to the gym, just playing basketball as much as possible. And the hoop scene in Houston is crazy. It's like, it's different. You got a lot of guys that move down there to try to start their pro career. You have a lot of pros in the area. So it's just so much basketball all the time. And then that's no disrespect to the St. Louis hoop scene. It just seems it's a bigger city, so it's just more. And so I'm going to tryouts, and I end up going to this one tryout I remember where there's a team from like South America there, and man, I go in the gym. It's like 50 dudes in the gym. It's like this one coach from this team, and so I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So we ended up, we're playing, we're doing drills, and we do all this stuff. It's no AC. It's hot. That's the one thing I remember, how hot it was in the gym. And long story short, I ended up being offered a contract. And so I had a pretty good day. And but the money was like terrible. So I'm like, no, I just literally can't go. Like, that's just not acceptable. And so and I think at the time, then I ended up signing with an agent out of like Saudi Arabia. And I thought I was really good at basketball at the time, even though I wasn't. I would say I was okay, but I thought it was better than what I was. And so I had another offer out of Saudi Arabia, which was, looking back at it, was pretty good money to start your career. And I turned that down because I thought I should be getting more money. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of humility gained in the process of trying to figure this all out. And so, after a while, I ended up accepting the job to go to Mexico. That was my first job I accepted. I went to Mexico, and I hadn't been playing. I actually kind of got frustrated with the process, and I had started working at this car dealership, Mack Hike Ford, down in Houston off of I-10. And I was selling Mustangs and F-250s and stuff like that. And I got a call one day from my agent. It's like, hey, I got a job for you, but you got to leave in 2 hours. I was like, what? So I go in, tell my sales manager, hey, man, I got a job offer. He's like, man, you're young. You can always come back and work here whenever you want to. Man, go live your dream. I was like, oh, that was a great conversation. Love that. I ended up calling my dad, like, hey, this was back in the day. I'm like, hey, can you pick me up 2 pair of Hyper Dunks? So he goes, grab me 2 pair of Hyper Dunks, meets me at the house. He's gonna take me to the airport. I hadn't like touched the ball in like 10 days. And as a hooper, not touching the ball in 10 days, that feels like a long time. Yes. And so I got a basketball goal at my house. I roll it out in the street. I'm trying to get shots. So I'm trying to go through my whole shooting routine. I got to catch this flight. And so I'm a little bit nervous about that I haven't been playing or doing anything. And so I end up take a flight to San Antonio. We drive across the border into I think we cross over into Laredo, which is like crazy because it's like you go into a third world country is what it feels like. It's like just like a movie. And I remember they're like, I'm changing clothes and stuff. Hey, put your bags under the bench. Don't leave them in the locker room. They'll steal all your stuff. So it's just different right off the gate. And first game, I'm like, I play okay. I do all right. I finished with like just 10 points. I score them all in like the last 4 minutes of the game because I'm off rhythm, right? And so then the next game, we go like 2 days. So that's maybe like a Thursday or something. So then we play Saturday night. We go to another town. We travel. play in this big arena, but we have time to practice and stuff. So I'm able to find my rhythm, which is pretty cool. And so now I'm excited to play. Now I'm ready to play. Have a better game that game. I scored 19, but all in the first half. All in the first half. Second half, the point guard that I came in with, he shoots it every time. Every freaking time. And I'm like, wow. So we end up losing the game by a few points or whatever. Then we go back to our town and, to put us in wherever our living quarters are. We got the day off. The next day, knock on the door. I get freaking cut. I'm like, oh. So send me home. They give me some pesos, put me on the bus and send me home. Wow. And so I'm like, dang, that was tough. That was tough. Then like a week later, they call me back. And they're like, well, the owner feels like he made a mistake. We want to bring you back. I'm like, what? There's no way I'm ever coming back to play for this team. So that was my first experience with it all. And I think from there, everything got better. I think I went to, let's see where I went after that. After that, I went to Cypress and played.
Which is where?
Actually, I take that back. I went back to Mexico the year after that and played in the Cibacoba League, which was a really good experience. I played there. I was leading the league in scoring. Had a really freaking good team. We had a guy named Jeremy Smith from Georgia Tech, who was probably the most athletic guy I've ever been on the court with. It's got windmills on a guy one time on a fast break. Just they stopped the game. It's just pandemonium all in the gym, man. It was a good time though. We had a really good time out there because we were living on the beach. Just a beautiful place.
Wow.
Yeah, we were in this place called this tourist town called Mazatlan, which was really nice. Really, really good food. Just the culture was good. The vibe
in
was
Mexico.
Good. Yeah, in Mexico. Okay. So it was fun. Then we had another kid who was like a Mexican-American player. We were all like 3 of the top 5 scorers in the league. So we were like a really dominant team in the league. Well, then that one kid, he gets hurt. Then the kid from Georgia Tech, Jermis, he goes home for a wedding. So I'm there by myself. We drop 2 games in a row. I kid you not, I get cut. And I'm
really?
Like, what? Because we fall from first to second place.
This was after how many games?
We've been there for probably like 3 months or so.
Okay.
So I get cut, and I'm like, wow, I cannot believe this. Like I said, I'm leading the league in scoring and everything. And so then All-Star game comes. I make the All-Star team, even though I'm not on the team. They fly me out to the All-Star game and everything, and a good time. Then from there, it's funny because I stayed out there for a while, and then I get a call from a team in Spain. No, in Venezuela. And the coach there, he had saw me play at a camp I went to in Spain. And so I flew out there to this camp, and it was freaking phenomenal. I played exceptionally well at the camp the whole week I was there. And so I was in a good place with everyone who saw me play. So when that coach got a head coaching job in Venezuela, I was his first call. So it was where I remember being in Spain. It's funny, not funny, but that was the week that Michael Jackson died. So I remember that happening while I was out there. Yeah, but yeah. So then I ended up going to Venezuela. So I fly from Mexico to Venezuela, which was kind of a dicey move. And I'll tell anybody not to do this, but my girlfriend, which is my wife now, she had came out to visit me at the time that I was in Mexico, and I had to leave to go to Venezuela. And she was like, what do I do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I got to go to Venezuela and actually leave her in Mexico. It's a shame, right? And I leave her in Mexico and go to Venezuela. And it ended up working out great, though. I had great teammates, and everyone had their girlfriends there, and she was just living her best life. She swears she had more fun when I left than when I was there. So it ends up being a good story. But yeah, Venezuela ended up being really good to me. I had a really good showing there, which was fun. Very competitive league, hard league, but it was very different, way more professional anywhere else than I had been. We lived in a hotel. We had a team bus. We had 2-a-days. It was just a different vibe. It was fun though. Sold out arenas. Like I played for a team called Trotamundos, which was the they're like the Lakers of South America. They have more championships than any other team in South America. So just a phenomenal organization. And we were a really freaking good team. And so we were pretty much brought in. I came in with another point guard. We were brought in to help the team make the playoffs. They were kind of middle of the pack, so we make a playoff run, but we end up losing to the number 1 seed in the first round. So I think from there, then where'd I go? Then I end up going to, Cypress. Go to Cypress. Then I end up in Spain. I think I do an AIA trip, which is Athletes in Action trip in Australia at some point. So, I mean, I feel like the game has been super good to me in terms of from a professional aspect. Then even just, down in Houston, down in Texas, we have like these pro-am teams. I know pro-am is everywhere, but like we have like tournaments that we play in and stuff in the summer, and we usually play for like a little bit of cash and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So one summer, I think the summer before 2011, we were like beating everybody in every tournament. Well, we had a team called Momentum. That was the name of our team. And then we end up getting selected to represent the USA in the Quay 54 in Paris, which is the Jordan brand sponsored tournament. So
wow,
it's phenomenal. Yeah, man. So the game has been phenomenal to me, man. Phenomenal.
Yeah, that's like the pinnacle of, I don't know, like a lot of hoopers' dreams, I guess. Like to me, that's the pinnacle, is like having a successful career, getting to travel the world, experience different countries.
Yeah.
You mentioned the food, the vibes, like the culture on and off the court.
Yeah.
I think that's, and especially like the variety. Like you mentioned Australia,
yeah,
and then Venezuela, and like all these different things. Why'd you get cut if you made the All-Star team?
We lost. That's it. Like I said, I'm leading the league in scoring, leading the league in steals, top 5 in assists. I'm having a phenomenal year. But, when the expectation is set at one place and it's not met, then that just kind of happens sometimes.
That's crazy.
I mean, misaligned expectation ruin a lot of guys across this sport, man. It's like if you see a team that makes the NCAA tournament and then that school thinks they should make the tournament every year, but they don't provide the resources for that school to make it or something like that, right? And now that coach, later on, he loses his job because they think they should be doing that all the time. Well, really, that was kind of a one-off. They had a really good year. They had a really good team. Everything just, the stars aligned, So, expectations can throw things off, man. I'm really big on expectations and the mismanagement of them sometimes.
We're going to circle back to that for sure. So I mentioned like the wide array of countries and like their culture. What about on the court, the play styles, because I think even within Mexico, even within the same country, there can be totally different play styles. Like Europe generally is ball movement, player movement, like team basketball.
Yeah.
But even within that, there's exceptions. There's a little more like ISO ball. I think South America might generally be more like ISO type of stuff. How would you describe the different countries you've been in and their play styles?
I would say I've never really been in an ISO heavy situation. I would say that even when I played in Mexico, I mean, we got up and down. In the league I played in initially, in the first 2 leagues, I was probably, more athletic than a lot of players, stronger than a lot of players in my position. So I could use my physical gifts, so to speak, to create advantages for myself. But that was still within the system. But I do think it's a little bit more free flowing. So players not being maybe as good at certain positions causes that. But then when I get to Venezuela, you're talking, I mean, my point guard that I came in with, he was a first round draft pick.
Really?
So yeah, you're playing with pros. These are at every position now, right? Everyone on the court's making a lot of money. So, the challenge is there. You got to be able to execute actions and do things. And then you got the language barrier on top of that. So
facts.
So I remember having a translator. So every time coach is talking, I got a guy, he's in my ear telling me exactly what to do. But at the same time, I love Venezuela because they were like, engage the crowd. They always told us to make sure we engage the crowd. So that to me made it one of the most fun places that I played. But then when I look at playing in Spain and you talk about Europe, so going to being in Spain, we definitely ran more actions. We definitely played at a lot slower pace. There was a lot less transition, a lot less possession. So I remember I had a game, one of my early games in Spain, I scored maybe 30 or so, right under 30, maybe 28, 29, 30 or something. And I remember I had one of my American teammates who was a really good player. He was the number one high school player in the country at one point. Back in the day, he was an older guy.
You remember his name?
Yeah, his name was Jared. Oh man, I have to look up his last name.
Jared something.
That's a shame, right?
Yeah,
that's a shame. But I guess he wasn't setting enough picks for me. But he was a four. He's a stretch four. He played at Michigan the year after the Fab Five.
Okay.
So, but I remember him telling me you're never gonna score that many points in a game again. I was like, what? You're crazy. And I never did. He was 100% right.
Why did he say that?
Just because of the pace, because I guess it's something that you don't see often.
Got you. You
know what I'm saying? So, it's a little bit more, everyone's going to get shots. And I'm not going to lie, I liked it though. I didn't have any problem with that. I'm not a guy who's I'm not just trying to score 30 points every time I come out on the floor or whatever. I'm going to make the right pass, make the play. At least I was, not anymore. But, so yeah, it was definitely different. Even when I played in Cypress, which is a phenomenal country. A lot of guys come out of Cypress and build their career in other places in Europe. But even when I played in Cypress, it was kind of the same deal. You run your stuff, but a little bit of a more open league. But we had a team that was full of Americans with passports, so we were deep. So that ball, you're not scoring a ton of points because everybody's scoring. So I think you see a lot of different play styles all over, but I think what you see mostly resembles the college game, at least at that time. You're going to run your stuff. Now, you might be the focal point of it. The touches might be for you, but it kind of resembled the college game, I would say.
Okay. I like in Venezuela, they were telling you to get the crowd involved.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see that a lot, in the Olympics for sure. Olympics and FIBA, even EuroLeague games, there's generally just this more passionate atmosphere than the typical NBA game, I would say. And I'm curious if that's how it is in a bunch of countries, if the coaches and stuff are overtly saying play to the crowd a little bit, almost leaning into that performance element.
I wouldn't say the coaches. I'm gonna say like that team I played for in Venezuela. You had a lot of people around. They functioned as a real organization. They weren't just this is your coach, and then you never see the manager. People were around, and so you just had people who were around. So my translator or the team manager who made sure we were getting our money or meals and stuff like that. But then at the same time, to your point, you talk about the fans. We'd be walking down the street or you go to the mall and you'll see a fan do this to you.
Oh.
And I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, we better win tonight. I'm like, or what? He's like, I'm like, there's no way. He's like, they're serious. But that same energy, that same passion, it's in the arena. They're rocking, they're on their feet. It's there. I don't think it was like that in Mexico as much as it was in Venezuela, but in Cyprus, it was definitely like that. It's you see benches, how you have the hoods over the bench where it's they're protecting the players. They'll throw pennies and throw
really?
Stuff. Yeah, man. So, I think that's because of overly passionate fans, but nevertheless, the passion is there. So, you're playing in front of crowds and stuff like that. It's hard not to respond as a competitor, whether you're, told to do so or not.
I bet that adrenaline is just through the roof.
Absolutely.
And you were saying, so that kind of goes to another question I had is people think of overseas as one thing, but there's levels to it.
Absolutely.
Getting your check on time, the travel logistics, where you're staying at. It sounds like you were kind of like on a pretty solid side of the spectrum. You talk about like packed out arenas, managers and stuff, making sure you get your check and making sure you get your food. Would you say you were kind of on like the nicer end of the spectrum?
I would say I've seen both.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been with teams late with money. Been with teams that they pay you before you get off the plane. So, you know, you got a little bit of both. I have an apartment here, or in another place I lived in a hotel. So, you know, you got somebody coming in cleaning your room every single day. On another team, we lived all over the city. So everybody's got cars. We live in different places. We didn't all live in the same buildings. So I would say just from when I went to Australia with AIA, we were with the host family.
Oh, nice.
You know, you got me, Michael Jordair, who was an assistant with the Phoenix Mercury this past year, Anthony Tolliver, who played in the NBA, us three, and we're living with the host family out in, you know, just out in the down under.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of different things. I've been fortunate. It's been a blessing. And all that stuff does is just open your eyes and make you grateful for each experience that you do have. You know, you just figure out how to navigate spaces no matter where you are. So, you know, you get around good people who want to take care of you and look out for you. You kind of migrate to them and they kind of help you along. So you get good at kind of discerning that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That like the figure it out ability of just life.
Yeah.
Like whether that's something you learned on the court, adapting to different play styles, or like the language barriers. That's a good point. So then overseas career, at what point were you like, all right, it's kind of time to hang them up?
Yeah, so playing in Spain, I had a herniated disc in my neck, and so had a wedding coming up. I was hurt, and I was supposed to go back to Venezuela, and I said no, that I wasn't gonna go because I was hurt. So once I started kind of turning down jobs, and with all of that, I didn't want to get neck surgery. That was like a big thing that I needed that I did not want to do. I guess I was being a big wuss or whatever, but I didn't want to do it. So I ended up just getting married, and I started doing basketball training, and I liked it. I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it, and then from there, I think a year later, that's when I ended up going back to St. Louis University on the coaching staff. Coach Majerus calls me, and he's like, hey, I want you to come back on the staff. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And so, but I ended up going, and it was a phenomenal start to my coaching career.
So you dodged the neck surgery.
Yeah.
Got married, and then you were doing player development in St. Louis.
Yeah. Like
independently type of thing?
A little bit of both. So I started off at this place called Ozzie Smith Sports Academy out in Chesterfield.
Okay.
And it was pretty cool. I had a lot of different type of clients, kids of all ages. Had parents coming in, dropping their kids off, saying, he's got tryouts tomorrow. I need you to help him make the team. And so you get all of these different variables coming through the door, these different type of athletes and parents and stuff like that. And being out in Chesterfield, I'll be honest, like you end up training a certain demographic of kid, and it kind of leaves out other demographics. And so I was like, you know what? I want to start branching off and being able to work with different client groups and not just be pigeonholed into one demographic. And so I ended up training on my own in some different areas of town, even over in East St. Louis, had some really, really talented kids over there. And so that's kind of how I started and why I started doing it on my own. Then I ended up leaving Ozzie Smith because it was kind of no point in doing it because I could still get everybody in different locations. So, but like I said, that was only for about a year. And then, yeah, that's when I ended up on the SLU.
Okay. And then what year was that?
So this would have been See, I got married in 2011, so that would have been 11 and 12. Then I ended up going to St. Louis University in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And then, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things I like most about what I do is like you have, again, that like variety of people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you kind of like went against the flow to go pursue that, you know, like, because you could have kept on being pigeonholed, to use your words, but you kind of like went off to pursue it. So you get to SLU, and what's your like responsibilities? What's your role? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, when I first get there, it's like, sit down, be quiet, and see what's going on, right? Because this thing, you know, you're joining a program that's already a top 25 team at the time. And so, you know, you're getting reacclimated with some of the players. We still got guys that were there from when I graduated. You know, they were about to be finishing up. So I graduated, they were coming in. Remember I was saying we had those players that I was working out, trying to get those guys ready. These guys are starting to finish up their career. And so, but then you got these new faces. So you're getting to know all of these guys and what they do. And you're trying to say, all right, what are we running? What are we doing on offense? What are we doing on defense? But most importantly, who needs what, and how can you help? How can you be a servant to anybody that's on that coaching staff? So coming in on support staff, you're really just trying to make everything better for everyone around you, whether that's players, whether that's the head coach or other assistant coaches. And so I remember when I was thinking about rejoining the staff, I went to lunch with Jim Weitzel, who was he was an assistant at the time. Recently, he was the head coach at Buffalo after Nate Oates left. Okay. And we went to lunch, and just him just giving me the rundown of you know, things that he needed. And then I talked with Tanner Bronson, who he's an assistant at South Carolina right now. And I remember Tanner saying, you know, our job is to take care of everything before Coach Majerus gets to the office. He's like, whatever it is, if we need to solve a problem, he's like, we want him to be able to come in and coach basketball. That's it, not to do anything else. And so just having that mindset of like, let's make sure we just check every single box, that we're just thinking of everything that he's going to ask about, that he's going to think of. And you're just forward thinking, trying to find solutions to problems before they arise almost. And so you spend a lot of time doing that. You spend a lot of time prepping and preparing, and, you know, whether that's getting guys in the gym to do extra work, or shoot, it could be walking a guy to class, or, you know, going to pick up something from FedEx, you know, all of these different things, or, you know, you got basketball camps coming up. So it's just, there's a lot of different things to do. So that's kind of how that went that first year. Well, then Coach Majerus actually ends up getting sick, unfortunately, and passing away. And then Jim Cruz takes over. And so, you know, there's a lot of change happening in the program. And so now you're part of that, like, that transition from one coach to another. So now you're working to maintain trust and a new voice. So it was a very unique situation. And then, like I said, we ended up being very good, as you alluded to, that year. And we did some very special things with that group. So that's kind of how it started off.
I had shout out to Sam Briscoe. Had him on here a while back. He is currently an assistant at Drury.
Okay.
Before that, he was like I forget the exact. I think he was like a grad assistant or something on staff at Drury.
Okay.
But he was saying basically that it was like his role was, I mean, some days he was drawing up plays or whatever and breaking down film, and then an hour and a half later he's at Walmart picking up Gatorades, you know, like just a jack of all trades type of thing. But it does make you kind of understand how the whole program runs, and it's just like, it's helpful. But now those SLU teams, that was my first memories of SLU basketball was Jordair Jett, Dwayne Evans.
Okay.
That was like third grade for me. That was early memories. So I'll ask you that question, is like, that was a very successful team.
Yep.
What do you feel like made you guys successful?
Well, first off, we had pros. You just mentioned some guys who are very, very unique and different at their positions, and we had that at every spot. If you look at our top 5 over that 3-year span, no matter who started, you had a lot of guys who made a lot of money playing basketball after they were done in college. So I'll start with the talent on the team. I want to give those guys their kudos. Next, I think we had a lot of experience. So we would go from Jim Cruz being at the helm to, Coach Majerus being at the helm to Jim Cruz being at the helm. And so you're talking about guys who know basketball at an insanely high level. And not only that, they can teach it at a high level, they can communicate it at a high level. And then I would say our preparation and how we prepare for games, like what we did in terms of scouting and stuff was very unique. And I know a lot of programs don't do the things that we did and spend the time that we spend. But I'll say this, we would say, like, man, it takes about 30 hours. It takes about 30 hours of prep to win a basketball game, to win a college basketball game. So, you're putting in crazy amount of time learning things about that other team that they might not even know about themselves. Then you got to go out and you got to communicate it to your team, and you got to get guys to execute things on a game-to-game basis as a unit. And then it's hard. It's very hard. But I think we were really, really good at that during that time. We had kids that bought in. They trusted the process. They trusted the coaching. They understood it. They understood what we were trying to do, and they were serious about it. They took it serious from day to day.
You also coached Austin McBroom.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what he's up to nowadays?
Today, no, I'm not aware. I know the Ace family and all of that.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what he has going on at this moment, but Austin was a really talented player. A really, really talented player. He could shoot the ball. He could run a team. He was super confident. I think it's funny, right? You see him like on YouTube and stuff, over the years, and I don't think people would think that he was as competitive as what he was when you look at that YouTube stuff. But like, that kid can ball. Like I was, he obviously had a vision for his life, and he pursued that vision. And he went after it, and it worked well for him. He's made a lot of money, but I always thought that he could have played basketball professionally, that he could have went and made him some money. He was a good enough player to do so. But he had it figured out. So shout out to him.
Yeah, Austin McBroom, baby. He also, when like the influencer boxing stuff was popping, he stepped in the ring. Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that. Yeah. No, I remember a game where we go to VCU and like he's the only guy who can get the ball up the court. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give him his respect as an athlete. I heard he was a pretty good football and baseball player too, I think.
Like in high school or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you said 30 hours to win a college basketball game.
Yeah.
That is scouting the other team. You said like knowing stuff about them that they don't even know about themselves. That's like what all goes into that, like understanding their plays, their players, their player tendencies.
Exactly right. You're looking at what they run, the frequency of what they run, when they run it, knowing their players, what they do, how often they do it, when they do it. You're essentially, I remember, so my second year on staff, like that's when I got the responsibility of scouts. And so I remember being partnered up with Calbert Chaney. I don't know if you know who Calbert Chaney is. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a shame, man. So you're telling your age right here.
I'm going to have to do my homework.
Calbert Chaney was the Big Ten's all-time leading scorer for a long time. So he was drafted to the Washington Wizards. He was played for Bobby Knight in Indiana. Just phenomenal basketball player. And so me and him were partnered on scouts, and we spent so much time learning and watching, and just we had to be able to answer any question that our head coach asked us. And I remember there was one game where there's like a timeout. He's talking to the team in the huddle, and he looks straight at me and he goes, "What are they about to run?" And like, you got to be able to answer that question confidently on what they're about to do so that those guys can go out there and guard it right. Because if you're wrong, right, he's going to take the hit for it. Your head coach is.
Yeah.
but then you lose confidence and he loses confidence and trust in you during that process. But I remember that. And so that's the level you want to be at, to be able to answer any one of those type of questions at any time in a high pressure situation, whether it's at home, on the road. And so that's what I mean by like knowing that team better than they know themselves. So that coach is telling that team, hey, we're going to be in a box formation running, we're going to run our horns action out of this or whatever. You got to be able to know that same thing.
Mm-hmm. So. Knowing what they run and when they're going to run it. When they're going to run it, as in like their ATOs and stuff, but then like within the game, like off a miss, they're going to try to do this or what?
Well, you would know that too. I mean, you're going to know their ATOs. You're going to know what they're going to do off misses and makes. You're going to know their go-to sets. Like you're going to be able to see and identify and know all that stuff. So, and that is funny because that's kind of where I try to get to as a coach with my players. So I always talk about that in the recruiting process. Like, I want to make you a basketball nerd. I want to make you a basketball junkie. I want you to get to the point where you don't just see guys running up and down the court. You see the X's and the O's and the strategies, or the lack of strategies in some situations as well.
I like that. So you mentioned part of your role was getting guys in the gym for extra work. Mm-hmm. And so I'm interested what that looks like for two reasons. One is because that was, you said 2013?
Yeah.
Okay. So the world of like skills training, player development is kind of on the rise at that point. It's not as like common, I don't think, definitely not as common as it is today.
Yeah, it's changing.
So that's number one. And then two, within the team setting, I'm curious what that looks like, because like, is that you just like freestyling, here's what we're going to work on, or is it like based on the offense, or what does it look like?
Yeah, definitely not freestyling. You are to a certain extent, right? Like if someone says, hey, I need you to work this kid out now, or go, he needs to get reps at this, or go work him out. We got him coming in for an hour today. He wants to get work. And so being smart, you're going to say, well, I want to help this player get more minutes. I want to help this player get on the court. Now, we can work on overall basketball skill that makes you a better basketball player wherever you go, or we can do specific things that you need to do to get minutes at your position. And in college basketball at that time, that's what you were going to do. There's no question on if you're going to do something outside of that. Now, for the players, that's kind of boring. That's kind of frustrating, right? And so, like you get a big guy comes in, and you're going to do jump hooks with him for the first 5 to 10 minutes. Well, he hates that. He wants to do something a little bit more than that. You know what I mean? So for me, I might throw in, all right, I'll throw you 5 face-up J's off the post. You know what I'm saying? But we have to get the work in on the things that are going to get you more minutes. You have to get comfortable. You have to be confident in this. Coach has to be confident in you that you've done that. So if coach says, hey, have you taken that shot? How many of those have you made this week? You're shooting that shot. How many have you made? Like, oh, well, I've been in the gym doing this. I've been working on this. And it's got to be in the confines of the offense. And I think that's where you build that connection with your coach. And so I think sometimes you see guys say, man, we work on this boring stuff and we don't work on like real basketball moves. Well, your coach doesn't value those moves like you think he does, therefore it doesn't help you. So I think players should have a good understanding of what they need to get on the court as well.
Yeah, it could almost be more helpful in some situations. Like if you're constrained by, as a player development coach, if you're constrained by, we have to work on the shots that they're going to get within the offense, that can sometimes be easier. Like I remember being in school and and the teacher would be like, all right, you can write this paper about anything you want. And that was almost more difficult. Like give me some sort of like boundary, you know?
Yeah.
So then maybe I'm curious what your experience was like. Okay, we got big fella coming in. we're going to get these shots within the team offense. And then from there, did you find yourself like coming up with different ways to get into a jump hook, for example, if that makes sense?
Not necessarily. So at that time, we were going to do it strictly based out of what we did. Okay. We were pretty regimented offensively in how we ran our stuff. So there wasn't as much autonomy for the players, I would say. So you're going to get it here. You're going to get to your go-tos and counters if you get it on the block. If you're a guard, this is where your shots are going to come from. So we knew. So to a certain extent, well, to a major extent, you're gonna control that workout and do those things that player needs to do strictly based out of the offense. And so now you might say, I might put a time constraint on it. I might say, okay, you need to hit 5 pick and pop threes within a minute, right? So now we're doing the same stuff, but we'll just put a little bit of different. Now I might say, all right, you got to shoot against me first to 5. So we're doing the same things. We just make it a little bit more fun or change the restraint in a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Did you find any difference between like the guys that showed up, player development, but practice in general, like locked in, wanted to be great versus just kind of like going through the motions, checking that box, I showed up today?
Yeah, for sure. I would say some guys, it's kind of funny. Some guys, it's perceived that they might not want to work out and get better and do these certain things. Like I think about Jordair Jett. Jordair Jett was a kid who extremely talented. Like, in my opinion, he could have played in the NBA just because he has this God-given ability to get things done, like a skill that you can't really evaluate, right? Just he could elevate his play at a time where he needs to. But I remember like he didn't have a workout routine. Like he just showed up to practice. He might go a whole week in practice only taking 1 shot. Just kind of wasn't a big deal, wasn't competitive enough almost. There weren't enough stakes on the line. And I remember I'm like, you know what? I sat down with him, I'm like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna come up with it was our pregame routine. We're going to come up with a pregame routine. We're going to do it before every single game. And we did that his senior year. And it really changed how he played. It really changed how he attacked. He looked to get to certain spots that he wasn't getting to before. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it wasn't like he was against it. I don't think anyone ever pulled him to the side. And no knock to any coach that's on the staff. You're working with a lot of different players and you're usually doing things in groups. But no one ever pulled him to the side to create a routine for him that was tailored for him in the spots that he could get to in special and unique situations. So then we had a kid, Cody Ellis. Well, Cody Ellis was a stretch 4 where me and him would work out every day after practice. And his thing, it was shooting games. He had a lot going on with life outside of the court. And so it was like, well, let's just have fun after practice. We're still going to get our work in, but it needed to be fun. So then you start tapping into the emotional side of player development as well.
Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
Because that can sometimes be even more impactful. Like, okay, according to whatever, we should get these 250 makes in and they need to be from these spots. But bro's going through it off the court.
Yeah.
This fun shooting game is going to be 10 times more impactful.
Yeah.
And I think being able to ditch the first thing and do the second thing separates good versus great trainers, I would say.
Yeah. And that comes with relationship, right? He's not going to do that shooting game with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So that comes with relationship, that comes with trust, that comes with time, and a mutual respect for your craft. Right. So a player is more willing to do the things that you ask if he sees you doing that with someone else or getting results with someone else, or he knows that you can do it well. Right. So those things help kind of bridge the gap also. But I think each player, when you really look at it, they have something that's going on outside of the court. And I think practice and the constraint of practice and doing things right in a team setting, in a 5-on-5 setting where they have the implications of if you make the mistake, it affects more people, adds weight to practice. It adds weight to a possession. So when you pull a player out of that setting and you get into the one-on-one or the small group stuff, now you automatically step into a more relaxed, more comfortable space where you can have fun, where you can point out that emotion and say, we're going to set that to the side, even if you're frustrated from practice or something off the court or classroom or whatever, and then we can just focus on your development or just focus on the comfort of the game that it provides.
And especially during season, that can pay dividends as well, like having so like the social responsibility is how I look at it. Like each time you add a player, 3v3, 4v4, 5v5, has like 20% more social responsibility.
Yeah.
One-on-one, I have to shoot it. 2v2, there's,
Yep.
So like you said, kind of taking it down to the bare bones, having a little bit more fun, gets that like psychological momentum, just seeing the ball go through the net, playing free.
Yeah.
And especially during the season, I feel like that could pay dividends.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because, they say comparison is the thief of joy, right? So if you miss two, he hits two, you feel a certain type of way. So, anytime you could take, now granted, like as a trainer, the training side of me I don't want to do much one-on-one training because I feel like I can develop you better if I have 2 or 3 people on the court with you.
Facts.
But I know that I can grow your confidence in a one-on-one setting better than if I had 2 or 3 people on the court with you. So there are benefits to every situation, I feel like. And so just realizing that benefit and really attacking it and honing in on it, it's going to benefit the player regardless.
Would you guys, so like in those player development workouts, would you go live with them at all? Not you specific, but like would there be 2 or 3 guys who were going live, or was it all on air?
At that time, no. Me now, if I'm working with my guys and we're doing 2-on-2, absolutely. Or if I'm working with my daughters, absolutely. I'm looking for as much live game-like training simulation situations as I can create.
Fire.
Yeah.
Fire. So SLU back there returning to coach, and then was the next stop pharmacy?
Yep, that was the next stop.
So how did we get there?
Oh, man. So we had 2 really great years at SLU, then we had 2 tough years. Okay, so we transitioned out, and then it's funny. My wife actually went to St. Louis College of Pharmacy when it was still called that. So
as a student?
Yeah.
Really?
So she graduated from there, yeah. Nice. And so I call her, and if you read Proverbs 31, it tells you how a good woman makes a man's name known in the city, okay? And so I asked my wife, I'm like, go to the athletic director's office and just, I don't know, see what's going on, figure out what's going on with the basketball team and stuff. So she goes, she talks to the AD at the time, was still a current AD, and so I ended up getting a call that day. So I guess she had a good conversation with her, right?
Yeah.
And so I told you I had a good career at SLU. And so she had a great conversation with her, and then we end up meeting, talking, and so we kind of hit it off that way. And I guess within a few days, I ended up being named the head coach at St. Louis College of Pharmacy, which was in the middle of the season. So they had fired their head coach during the season.
So I was going to ask that because it says on the website that you came in January.
Yeah.
So you came in mid-season.
Mid-season, which was rough. I don't even know if we have enough time to talk about that, but I mean, it was unbelievable how it happened. I remember AD scheduling the first practice for me. At the time, the team, there was no gym on campus. We were practicing over at SLU High at like 9 o'clock at night. Wow. And I remember I come in and only 3 guys show up to practice. They were pissed. Their former coach got fired. And I'm like, where's everybody? And they were like, practice is optional. What do you mean? We're the only guys that are ever here. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
So coming into that, you're talking taking over a program that was, at the time, you're talking over 100-something losses in a row. Practice is optional, no gym on campus. Like, you're in it's a rough situation. It's a really rough situation. And so
and did you know that going into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like every basketball player. every basketball player thinks that he's better than what he is. And at the time, we do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, I'm like, man, I'm going to come in, I'm going to turn this thing around. This would be easy, quick fix. And it was anything but. And so, you know, I got a great respect for the guys who were a part of the program before. But also just the competition that we were playing against at the time. That was my first time seeing NAIA competition. And, you know, you're coming from a Division I level, you're just like, this is basketball. I don't view anything other than Division I basketball and NBA. You don't really watch any levels below where you are, I would say. And so I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know what coaching looked like. I didn't know what talent looked like. So it was like drinking water from a fire hydrant. But you know, we got after it right from the beginning, all three of us.
What would you say those main differences were, D1 versus NAIA?
Good question. I'm gonna say you obviously have bigger, faster, stronger athletes. Like you got guys that can shoot the ball, you got guys that can think. But I would say you have a bigger version of a guy who can do the same thing at a higher level for the most part. I think lately you've seen a lot of guys who have been able to transition from NAIA to Division II, and which is not that far away, but to Division I also. But those are players who, you know, they physically can transfer in and be able to contribute. So had they not been able to physically do that, then, you know, it'd be a little bit harder for them. You know, and that's not always the case. There's a skill barrier sometimes that prevents guys from going higher. But, you know, we see skilled guys on all levels now, man. I mean, it's just good basketball everywhere. I respect basketball at all levels now. Yeah.
Would you say there's so we talked about like overseas ISO versus team basketball, that type of stuff. Would you say there's generally any differences D1 versus NAIA?
Yeah. So it's funny. My thought has always been this. It's changed lately though, from when I first started coaching NAIA. When I first started coaching NAIA, my thought was that at the Division I level, the kids are just gonna run their stuff. They're gonna run their whatever the coach wants them to run, they're gonna run it. And then when I came into the NAIA, I didn't think it was like that. You could have a kid, he could get hot and run off X amount of points in a row by itself outside of the offense. And you saw that more so at that level than you would at the Division I level. But I think it's changed now. I think now with the 5-out offense, with coaches looking to have a more free-flowing play style, you're starting to see kids showcase different types of talent than just, like I talked about our player development. Well, we stuck to training guys to score in our offense, right? There was no space for a guy to do much outside of that because we're like, get off the ball, get to the next thing. NAIA level wasn't like that initially, or 10 years ago.
Yeah. You know? So, yeah, that is 10 years ago. So you've been here for 10 years?
Yeah, about 9, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first day of practice, AD schedules it for you.
Yeah.
3 people show up. How do you go about shifting the culture? We mentioned expectations earlier. How do you go about shifting the culture the way things are done?
Yeah, man. I think we just did a 3-man weave for an hour that day. It's the only drill we can run. But no, man, you set the precedent and say, hey, look, like, if you want to be a part of what we're doing, you got to come to practice. We got to be able to run an offense. We can't just run around and do whatever we want to do. We have to have some form of organization and look like a team. And I remember sending out that text to the team saying, I can't find minutes for guys that don't come to practice. And I remember I had a kid who I had not met yet. This was a weekend. I don't know where he's been. His mom calls me on a Sunday going ballistic on me. Like, how dare you send out a text like that? My son is X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I'm just letting her go. She's going crazy. And I remember saying to her, ma'am, I don't even know who your son is. I have not met him. And within 2 weeks, he starts coming to practice.
Okay, that's good.
Within 2 weeks, he ends up quitting because I want him to play defense.
Not good.
So, not good. But you just set the expectation. You try to get through the remainder of the season. And I get it. It's uncomfortable for those guys. They didn't have to come to practice. They got to do whatever they wanted on offense initially. And so I'm all about freedom. I love that. But when we're taking chaotic shots and turning the ball over and you're getting thrashed over the head, like, you got to make some changes and start doing some things that work at all levels. And so that's playing as a team and competing on defense. And I don't think that's too much to ask, right? And so that's what we try to stick to, you know, from the beginning, and say, hey, look, be here, learn this stuff, grow in it, and play together, share the experience.
So you had mentioned like 3 people showing up, and then like other people, or maybe they were like pissed their coach got fired.
Yeah.
And then the picture you're kind of painting right now is you're coming in. I mean, it's higher expectations just on the fact that you want them showing up to practice, you know, and playing defense and stuff like that. So how, like, practically, how do you go about creating that buy-in for them to do that?
Well, initially, I mean, it's really hard to inspire because the team has been struggling for so long. So one thing that helped is we play our first game. I coached my first game, and this sounds so crazy, but I remember at the time, the average margin of loss when I took over the job, I remember doing the math on this, it was 45 points. We play our first game, and we lose by 20, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I think things like that help create buy-in. Then when you see guys score, okay, this kid scores 20, and this kid gets 20. You start seeing multiple guys at multiple spots start to have some success, and it's crazy. We finished that year with 5 guys. I'll never forget. We were showing up to games with 5 guys. That team whittled down. I had guys quit that team before they ever even showed up to meet me and have a conversation with me because they were so pissed about what happened during the middle of the year with their coach being fired. And so I remember last 2 games we couldn't even play because the kid gets hurt. We only got 4 guys. But the number of games we had guys foul out, we're playing 5-on-4 out there.
You remember Colin Sexton? He did that at Alabama.
Yeah, I remember he had like 38 points or some 40 points. Yeah. But we never had a guy score that many. But then we had another game towards the end of the year. I think we were freaking down 2 points at halftime. And again, standing ovation from the crowd at halftime.
Wow.
We were losing. We were still losing, but standing ovation. So I think things like that start to kind of make people like, okay, well, you know, maybe we'll see what we have here. Then the next year, we recruit a few guys that had some unique talents. And, just every year, you just try to bring guys in to help push the program forward, change the trajectory of it. I think one year we just went after all kids who came from a winning program. So like if you had to come from a team that was like that won an X amount of games, like that was a box that we wanted to check because we wanted to just put guys in the program that had a good mentality when it came to winning and what it took to win. They had experience doing so.
I like that, kind of taking the context into consideration and celebrating we're only down 20. As funny as that sounds, like slow motion is better than no motion.
Absolutely,
you know?
For sure.
As a competitor though,
yeah,
like how do you stick with this?
Man, that's the second time I've been asked that question in the last month. But I think that's the answer though. I think just being a competitor.
Ooh, that's a bar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, sure. Right. Like if we play ones right now and you beat me, I'm not going home.
Yeah.
We're going to check up and play again. So it's the same mentality with me in terms of coaching this program. Like if you beat me, I want to know how I can beat you. I want to know where we went wrong. Immediately I'm going to go in, I'm going to study the opponent. I'm going to study us more than anything. I'm going to try to make corrections, whether that's on the offensive side, defensive side, whether we're 1 year to the next and we're trying to change our lineups or how we play, our play style, 2 bigs, 1 big, 5 out, 4 out, 1 in, whatever it may be, we're going to just keep trying to find the solutions. And you were kind of alluding to this, but where I stand right now, just in my life in general, I think if you just look at people who are good at things, and this comes from basketball, but I just think solutions. I just think you drive to the basket, you get stopped. Well, what are your footwork solutions? What are your solutions to score? On the defensive side, you got an elite talent right there. What are the solutions to stop this guy, to slow him down? It's the same thing. If you got to go find a new job tomorrow, well, what solutions can you come up with to be able to feed yourself and keep the lights on in here? So that's kind of where I'm just simplifying things down and say, let's just come up with as many solutions as we can to the problems that we have.
Mm-hmm. One of the, I don't know if I would call it a problem, one of the constraints that you have is the school itself is pretty like high academic.
Yeah.
So that kind of constrains the talent pool that you get. Do you feel like I've misrepresented that at all?
You know, it's one of those things where it sucks to say it and it sucks to hear it, but it's true though, right? Like, it's hard to find a kid who, and we have more majors than what we did initially, but I remember when I first got the job, you're looking for pharmacy guys, and it's like, show me a hooper, a guy you would label as a hooper who's in the lab, as we say, working on this craft, trying to get better, but he also wants to be a pharmacist. Most guys, they want to go play for money. They want to go play professionally. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be the sixth man on the bench. You think you're one game away from every Division I coach recruiting you and going to the NBA. We always have that story in the back of our mind that we can be that guy. It's our inspiration all the time. And so, yeah, it is hard to find a guy who values, man, I want to have a 4.0 and I want to beat everybody that's in front of me. Like,
shout out to RJ Wright.
Shout out to RJ Wright. He was a bucket.
Yes, sir. Damn right he was.
Yeah, he's a bucket.
Yeah. So how does that like situation being what it is, how does that affect, does it affect how you coach at all?
No. I would say no. It affects how I look at it afterwards. So it affects how I look at the result. So how I coach you, I'm going to coach you to be the best player that you can be. I'm going to coach you to do what we need to be able to put ourselves in position to win this game. That could be very uncomfortable for you depending on your commitment. It could be very uncomfortable for you depending on your talent level. All right. But I'm going to push you towards it no matter what, especially if I know that you can do it. And so you try to only ask players to do things that they can do and that need to be done. And you got to meet in the middle with both. So when I say it affects how I look at it on the backside of it, okay, let's say this guy, we got a 6'6" post guy, they got a 6'10" post guy, and he's 50 pounds heavier. We can't even get around him to front him or whatever, right? But we're working at it. You know, I got to look at it and say, you know, dang, he tried. He's still a good dude. He still tried. He still tried to do what I asked, because sometimes I could take it like he didn't try to do what I asked. And I don't want to take it that way. Well, there's a talent difference sometimes. And so I have to acknowledge that. I'm not going to acknowledge that to my team, though. And to my team, I'm just going to say, look, this is the job. We got to do the job. That's the challenge of the day. Because I don't want to give them an excuse going into it.
Yeah. You only ask of them what they can do and what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. There's a lot to unpack. Because it goes back to what we said earlier, like aligned expectations.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. Is there any advice you would give for a coach going into some similar situation where they kind of have to like build it from the ground up, just as far as like culture, setting expectations, or something you would tell yourself 9 years ago?
You don't know what you don't know. So continue to learn, absorb and watch as much basketball, study as much basketball as possible. And I'm pretty sure most guys are doing that. I would say also have committed people around you to help you bring the program up as well. So one challenge
shout out to Kennedy.
Yeah, shout out to Kennedy.
He came on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. So when you have guys that have a heart for the game around you, it helps out so much. But I also think part of you, if you have coaches who maybe are new to it or whatever, and I've had a lot of coaches who it's been their first coaching job, so they don't know what to look for. They're learning what being a coach looks like and how to coach a situation or how to deal with a player here, what accountability looks like. And so you have to coach your coaches too. So you're wearing a lot of hats. You're not just coaching basketball. And so it's like challenging everybody around you while being patient with everybody around you as well. That's something that I feel like you really have to master when you bring in young coaches.
That could be like inspiring or give you some like to be able to like coach the coaches, you know, especially if it's their first job, first gig, kind of like brings out I don't know the word for it. It could be exciting. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Helping other coaches.
No, it's fun.
Because that was you at one point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But as a coach, I would say as a young coach, you got to take ownership of it though. You got to come into the program. You got to be a sponge. Just like that freshman is coming in trying to learn everything, you got to try to learn everything. Every expectation of that head coach, how he communicates, the words he's using. Because when those players look at you and ask you a question that the head coach might have talked about, you don't always want to say, I don't know, or let me go and ask coach. You want to be able to have that answer as well. Or when your head coach says, what are they going to run coming out of this timeout? You want to be able to answer that question. And that means that you need to be able to recognize actions and recognize things that are happening on the floor as well. So you're going to have to spend some time on your craft outside of practice time. You're going to have to go back and watch practice film. You're going to have to be able to just recognize the details that your head coach values to be able to show yourself as a coach that's mindful about what's going on.
When I had, so that says 157?
Yeah.
Okay. You good with like 20 more minutes?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go 15 more minutes.
15, perfect. Yeah. So I had pulled up to a practice this most recent season, and it was a Sunday.
Yeah.
And talking to a couple of the players, it sounds like it's that same format throughout the week all season. So Sundays are like live essentially.
Yep.
What's the thought process behind that?
Sundays I just want to have a night where we just hoop, where we just play. We come in, right? We start off in the weight room. We do our weight room work. Then we go down the court. We do our fun. You know, we always try to have that fun warm up. As I don't know if you saw that
football.
Part. Yeah,
yes, sir.
That's football on Sunday night.
Preaching to the choir.
So then I just want to hoop though. I want guys to look forward to being there. So, you know, we're a team. We practice early in the morning. We got the early bird gets the worm mentality. And that's not always fun. That's hard for guys. So coming in on Sundays, guys are fresh. They've had rest from whatever we did on Saturday. So I want to utilize that energy to get up and down, let them enjoy the game. Because college basketball can feel like work sometimes. And so if we can just ever get back to it and be consistent, they can look forward to what's happening on Sundays. I like that. I look forward to Sundays. I never want to miss them. And I think our guys do too. They want to know what the teams are going to be. We're switching it up. We're tracking winners and losers. And, you know, we're just hooping, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuck out to me. Is it felt like they were enjoying it and competitive. Yeah. I really enjoyed the lift that y'all had him do though. And I remember we talked about it a little bit afterwards. But it was like 15 minutes, 5 times through something. Yeah. You're in and out quick. And I think for hoopers, that's perfect, especially in season, because hoopers are really good at BSing their way through the weight room. If you have 10 different lifts on there, like all 10 probably aren't getting done. Yeah. What's the thought process behind that style of lift? Yeah,
we can't do it every day, right? So it fits our schedule. That's something that, because it's so intense, we got to We have over a 24-hour break from Saturday to Sunday, and then over another 24-hour break from Sunday to Tuesday because we're off on Mondays. So that's why that's kind of like our high intensity night where we can come in, we can get a hardcore lift that's going to really kind of, get you going a little bit, hype you up, and we can flow that right into the hoop session. But if we try to do that same lift on a Tuesday morning at 5:30, it's not going to hit the same, right? Guys are going to be half asleep. They're going to be slapping themselves, try to wake up. They're going to find a way to shortcut reps. Where you see on Sunday, they're screaming at each other, right? They're motivating one another. And so it's just fun, man. I really just wanted to, over the last 2 years, make sure there was something in practice that was fun. Make sure it was something that they can look forward to. That's doable, they can look forward to, but it's still challenging. So I'll say this. For me, player experience is critical. Like in terms of how we live, how your body develops, how we practice, how we eat, who we play against, how we travel, how we dress, all of these things, like the team bonding activities that we do. I want us to be able to say, like, man, our player experience is one of a kind. It's different because I think that our league is hard, the competition we play against is hard, our practice schedule is hard, classroom is hard. It's all difficult. So if I can create a memorable college basketball experience for you outside of the difficult stuff that you can look back on and say, man, this was good, this was good, this was good, as long as the time that I spent with my teammates was good and the relationships that I have was good, then to me that's a win. Because I had teammates I remember guys who were like, man, I can't wait for this to be over. I'm like, man, I remember the first time I heard a guy say that, I'm like, what happened to him? My freshman year, we had a senior who was like, ooh, my last year. Yeah. All I got to do is get to February. And I'm like, why does he feel like, I'm so excited. Why does he feel like this? And I'm not saying every kid that leaves my program feels like that. I'm not saying that, right? Because depending on how it goes, some kids like, man, I didn't play enough. So that's all I'm basing my experience off of. And they might breeze over the rest of it. But I hope that one day when they look at it, they'll say, you know what? Man, we had this pretty good. I didn't realize that. So,
yeah, and that's like the true impact of a coach is like the bigger picture life. Like 20 years after your career is over, you can look back and say, "Oh, I love those 4 years." Yeah. So it kind of speaks to the bigger picture type stuff. Another thing that caught my attention at the practice I went to was I forget how. I think one of the players had cursed and then you had like checked them. And then I asked the player about it and he was like, oh yeah, coach doesn't like us cursing. Yeah. I forget exactly how it came up, but I think that's really cool. It's different. I like it. It is something I've just been curious about past couple months. So just talk about the faith in general, your faith. Yeah. First of all, is it something you grew up on? Is it something like teenage years you kind of like started tapping into, or how did you come into it?
Yeah, grew up on, I would say, born into a family of believers, which I consider a blessing. Just simply because you don't got to go out and I didn't have to go out and figure it out on my own, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Which I'm grateful for, because it's somebody who's like waiting on somebody to knock on their door right now, unfortunately. And so I would say a big deal for me was we had this organization here in St. Louis called God Fam Ball, and
FAN,
FAM. Yep. So God Family Ball. Okay. And so my high school coach, he walked by. We were stretching on the floor one day. He walks by and he says, "What are the three most important things in your life?" And I'm like, I don't know, basketball, my family, God. And he's like, God, family, basketball. And that like stuck with me. I've never forgotten that. So I try to do everything based off that. It's hard though. It's hard. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not great at it. And I I've had a lot of days that have made me go back and evaluate that, where I stand, my walk, my faith, how I live it out. And what I try to do with the team is say, okay, let's take values that come from that, let's put them in our program, and let's try to live those out. And so like when we look at the pillars of our program and the things that we talk about, they kind of come from that. And so I think for me, I try to hold myself accountable to that. So we have our first team meeting of the year. I tell the guys, hey, I'm a Christian. You can hold me accountable to that. Like if it doesn't look like that, then feel free to say something. I've never had a guy like really challenge me on that, even though I had times where I know I could have been challenged. Because unfortunately, sometimes my passion, basketball, your passion can cause you to get out of the spirit, which is something I've had a huge conflict with as a coach that I don't like. But, you know, you try to learn through that process and grow and, okay, where does God want me to be? How does he want this thing to be aligned? And so, and I've always prayed that put the players in a program that are supposed to be here. Like whether I understand it, whether I think this kid can really help us right now or in this situation or not, I just pray that we have the right kids there to be a part of the program. So, you know, it's something that I just continuously strive at. I try to be consistent with, like, I go to church on Sundays or Bible class on Wednesdays, or the guys come in my office, they got to pull their Proverbs card. They got to read a proverb, you know, and we sit and we talk about it for a second. I'm like, oh, does this apply to you right now? No, maybe not. Or yeah, like, man, I like this card. Can I keep this card? I always like moments like that. And so just kind of have little things like that that I think make an impact over a long period of time. Yeah.
So you mentioned like a preseason meeting.
Yeah.
You like establishing again the expectations.
Yeah.
Telling them like I'm a Christian. How else or within that meeting, how do you set the expectations and or like what are the expectations? Like no cursing in practice, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's usually just the only one.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you do have guys from other religious backgrounds that are part of your program. So it's, you know, that's why I say you try to just set forth, all right, these are Christian values that fit anybody, any person.
Love that. What are some examples?
So I'll go through our pillars. Okay. So the first one is be grateful.
Fire.
Like I don't care what religion you're from. Like if you can't have a grateful heart for the place you are in or the people that you're around, it's going to affect your experience and the experience of those people around you. It's just not going to be as good. So let's try to be grateful. Okay. Then the next one is just to be wise, right? So the Bible talks about wisdom all the time. Well, what does that really mean? It's like, well, if I have this knowledge, what am I going to do with this knowledge? Well, hopefully I make some good decisions with this knowledge and with the basketball. You know what I'm saying? But you represent things outside of just yourself. Yeah, you represent yourself, but you represent your family and your team. Okay. So let's be good stewards of the knowledge that we have. Okay. Be serving. So as a coach, we're trying to put forth servant leadership. As a player, we want you to have servant leadership as well. We're talking about playing a team sport and you're not willing to serve. Like that doesn't even sound right. You know what I'm saying? You should run track or play tennis or, you know, do something that's individual. But like, how do you serve your teammates, right? We're serving this campus community. Well, how do you serve the people around you? And then the last one is just be special, right? You're wonderfully made. So what do you do with that? You know, how do you view yourself? And so you just try to take these things and make them a part of your program without consciously having to even divulge into scripture. Nothing wrong with scripture, of course, but you're just giving these principles to help you live a better life, make the experience better for yourself and everyone around you.
I like that a lot because like you said, there'll be players that you coach from all different backgrounds, all different beliefs. And so having that like, it's just very digestible. Like those are just common, like human, like being grateful, you know, isn't inherently Christian. It has Christian roots to it. And it talks about wisdom in the Bible and stuff like that. But they're things that everyone can like get along with type of thing. And it goes back to that like planting seed analogy that I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Like who knows, it might bear some fruit down the road.
Never know.
Last thing we'll talk about.
Okay.
Going through your Instagram.
Okay.
Is so freaking wholesome, man. So wholesome, bro. It's nothing but your family.
Yeah.
It's like Instagram first came out. I was in like 6th grade, I think. And that's how that was before like all the influencers and brand deals and stuff like that. And at least all the people I was following, that's all it was like their kids and their vacation they're going on and stuff like that. Dude, and like your whole page, man, is just your family. It's awesome. I got family tatted on me. Like it's so important to me.
Yeah.
You used the word like core value or something like that you can like return to. It seems very grounding. Last thing, just let's talk about the family for a minute, what they mean to you, how special they are. You mentioned your successful career at SLU. Just talk about how much they mean to you.
First off, I appreciate you even asking that question. Just for me to be able to talk about my family, man, that's pretty cool of you to do so.
For sure.
But I started with my wife because, without her, I don't know if any of this works, right? Like she puts up with, I remember so Coach Majarius, before I took the job, he goes, one thing I want you to do tonight, me and him talking on the phone. He's like, one thing I want you to do, talk to your wife, let her know that there are going to be some nights where there'll be some days where you wake up and kiss her goodbye, and then you come home and she's going to be already in bed asleep, and that's it. He's like, I'm going to have your time, pretty much. And I remember having that conversation with her prior to me coaching, like, this is what it's going to look like. This is the reality of it. Are you okay with that? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, whoa. You answered way too fast. Like, slow down. She's like, no, like, I'm good. Like, that's what you're passionate about. Like, pursue your dream. And I think it's important to have somebody that's willing to rock with you when you're pursuing a passion, because it gets blurry sometimes. It don't always look like a dream, picture perfect at times. And so she's great at making sure that I can be where I need to be, or where even I want to be sometimes. I might just want to go work out a kid, go see a kid, or do whatever, you know what I'm saying? Spend time in the gym, even when I don't need to. And she's great about all those things, as well as handling her business and things that she has going on and maintaining her faith. And so us to be able to have difficult conversations where I can come home and say, man, I don't like how I coached that kid today. She said, you need to make sure you're keeping your faith in front of you. So just having that accountability person in front of you, with you along the journey, is just super, super important for me. So shout out to her for that. And then our kids, man, they're just a blessing. So I look at my family, I say, like, it's funny. I'm like, I don't deserve my family. Like, I'm not a good enough dude to have the family I have. Like, I don't understand it. Like, my wife's great. My daughters, I got 3 daughters. They're 12, 11, and 5 months. And I got 2 sons. They're 5 and 4. All fantastic kids. Just happy, healthy, whole. Enjoy the game with me because that's my passion, right? They like it because it's my passion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as well as the things that they love to do that I get to share with them, it's just a blessing, man. I really don't see how I have the family that I do. But I think if I look at like my wife's parents, they're fantastic also. They've helped us throughout this journey. They still, help out when they can, even though when we moved closer to them, they moved to California. So haven't figured out why they moved so far away. But no, then like my folks are great, obviously supporting my basketball journey all throughout. And I think, having that support system is just instrumental for anyone's success, man. And I mean, my sister and brother, hoop junkies right along with me.
Nice.
Shoot, my brother came in town this year and sat on the bench in a game where we hit a freaking game winner. He's jumping up higher than me. You know what I'm saying? And like, just to have those moments where, you can share them. My sister's a head coach down in Houston, Texas, man. This was her first year being a head basketball coach at a high school, and basketball is just run through our blood, man. It's just a basketball family, man. And I'm grateful, man. That's God family ball, man. Those are the 3 boxes where I try to look at things and have a gratitude towards, and I do.
Yeah, gratitude for sure. Yeah, having that like an anchor, you know,
for sure.
Last question off of that is like, flipping that switch.
Okay.
Like being present with your family, being present, family time, not thinking about, I should have coached this kid better. Has that ever been an issue for you? If so, how do you like go about it?
Great question. Major conflict. I remember one summer specifically where like, I just did not like how the season went. And as soon as the season ended, I jumped straight into preparing for the next year. And I could not turn it off. Like I did not turn it off. I couldn't sleep. Like me and my wife love watching movies together. We try to watch every movie under the sun. I probably went 7 months, no movies. Like just straight basketball, absorbing as much basketball as I can. For me, little things though, like my wife doesn't like this, but like I turn a game on, I won't have the sound on. Because if I have the sound on, I'm gonna listen to the commentator, I'm gonna be very focused on it, but I wanna hear the sound of the house. I wanna be able to hear my kids laughing, I wanna be able to hear them playing. So things like that, or if I'm out somewhere, like I got Synergy on my phone, I'm pulling up, I'll have a thought like, man, what happened on that one play? And I gotta look it up and see, well, why did this happen? What happened on another possession? And I gotta just turn the stuff off when I'm in certain areas. And so just having that ability to separate out when I can do stuff and when I can't, and becoming more, trying to reduce the 30 hours down to win a basketball game. I've been really big on trying to do that. Well, how can I play a style that doesn't need me to put as much time into it? Or how can I give my players more autonomy, which is something that I'm big on. Like I always say, like I want to sit down and coach and not talk. I want to just sit there and everybody does everything. They make the decisions. I've trained them to do what makes sense in a situation. They have enough solutions and they can figure it out. And so I just continuously strive to try to get to that point to have better family basketball balance. Not that I'm complaining about what I do have.
Yeah. Gratitude. I like that a lot. Okay. How we end it. First of all, again, appreciate you taking the time.
For sure.
Yeah. How we end it is one, any last message you want to leave the people with? Could be some words of wisdom, could be a Bible verse, could be summarizing a common theme we've touched on throughout the episode. Really, the floor is yours, anything you want to speak on. And then two, where people can find you, plug away anything you got. If you got a TikTok we don't know about, plug that. Or like recruiting for UHSP, stuff like that. So one, any last message? Two, plug away where people can find you.
I'll do two last messages, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
So I've already said one, God, family, ball. I would say just doing things in that order, man. Just keeping that as a priority. That's something that works for me in terms of making decisions and just trying to live out my life. I just think it's critical and it's important. Two, this week specifically, I've been studying Matthew 21, looking at there's a man in a vineyard. He has a vineyard. He's got two sons, and in this parable that Jesus is telling, he says that the man tells us one son to go work in the vineyard. He says no, and then he goes and he does it. And then he tells the other son to go work in the vineyard. He says yes, but he never goes to work in the vineyard. And he's like, well, which one of these sons is the better son, basically? Well, which one got it right? And so just the thought of like your actions are more important than your words. And so just to kind of keep that in mind as we go through life, to prioritize like our actions over our words, even when our words may be wrong the first time around. Like Coach that. Daddy Brown. That's my IG at Coach Daddy Brown. So
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, that was episode, I don't even know what episode that was, but that was very enjoyable. Off to weights, you said?
Yeah, man. We got a lift coming up here in a few minutes, man. I got my guys in. I think I got some women's players popping in today too. So it should be a fun workout.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Off to the work.
Off to the work. This was fun though. I'm glad I had a chance to come and sit down and rap with you, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry if I talk too much.
That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point. I'm in front of a mic every episode. This your one chance.
For sure.
Unless we do a part 2.
All right, bet.
I'm down for it.
For sure.
That is episode, I don't even know, but it was thoroughly enjoyed. Peace.
Peace.